Hey guys, this is Mark. I'm here. We're here at Epworth by the Sea in Georgia, in St. Simon, Georgia. It's beautiful here. This is a Methodist conference center that has been owned for like 70 years. They purchased like 50 acres, and there's all kinds of you could have your conference here. I'm here this week with the Global Methodist Church, and specifically with Cuba Missions. We're going to be kind of bringing awareness. There's about 300 pastors and support staff that are all here doing their annual conference, and we have a table set up. Pastor Ken and Amy, who are part of the lead pastors. There's about 5 lead pastors on this team that have been going to Cuba for the last couple of years, and really just bringing support and relief there. And a lot of times you watch the news and you're like, man, this is a big problem. What can I do? I remember after 9/11, that people joined the military in record numbers because they wanted to help out. They wanted to fight terrorism. You could see, I don't know if you can see behind me right here, that little thing. It's very small, but it says Epworth by the Sea Methodist Center. So I'm right outside. There's a lot of great spots I could film, but I just thought this would be kind of cool to have that in the background. But like I said, people want to get involved. You see what's going on in the news in Cuba. Depending on which side of the table you are, if you're on more of the left side, you're angry with America. You feel like the government, our government, is causing Cubans to starve because of the sanctions. You're right on that. Okay, but the problem has been, if you're on the other side, has been going on a lot longer than that. Okay, so I don't really care which side of the argument you're on. The point is that the people in Cuba need our help. And you're like, well, what can I do? I'm not government, I'm not military. You don't need to be, all right? If you love Jesus, you can help out. First of all, you could go to Cuba. So that's what, a few things that are the 3 ways you can help. You can go to Cuba with us on a team, which we would like. We're going to be taking a trip in February is the next planned trip, right on Valentine's Day. What better way to show your love for the people of God than to travel on the Valentine's Day week and share the love of God with other people. You can bring your spouse if you want. It'd be a great trip for you and your spouse. Because sometimes, like I remember when I was young, my dad brought me to like the shelter. He brought me and my brothers. We would go to my dad and mom and bring us to the shelter. A couple times it happened on Thanksgiving, and we'd help people, feed people. And I don't even know if he remembers that story, but like it changed your view about, I have a lot to be thankful for, because here's a lot people that have a lot less than me, and they're grateful. And so therefore, me, the spoiled rotten brat from America, should also be grateful, et cetera, right? So now there's so many things that we take for granted in America. Consistent power. Okay, maybe you struggle to pay your power bill, like I have, okay? But you have power. As long as you can pay your bill, you have power. That's not a guarantee in Cuba and in other parts of the world. Maybe you have the ability to speak out. If you don't like something, the way something is in your government, you can speak out about it. That's not the same in Cuba. I'm just reading reports and doing a lot more research. I'll be honest, I went into Cuba blind. I didn't do a lot of homework. I didn't really understand what the geopolitical situation was, but I went there, to learn. And now I'm doing some more research. I've just watched a bunch of videos and read some articles this morning, and there's a lot going on. And I believe that things are about to change. There's a regime change coming, but it's going to come not because of government action only, but it's going to come because of the prayers of the people. In the book of Revelation, God talks about, the scriptures talk about the prayers of the saints rising up from the altar, the martyrs, right? The blood of the martyrs. And they're saying, how long? How long? You think about Egypt. In Egypt, Israel cried out to God for 400 years for deliverance. And, it wasn't obviously bad at the beginning of those 400 years, but by the end of it, it had gotten really bad, all right? Because it says pharaohs replaced other pharaohs that grew up that didn't know who Joseph was. It didn't know that Joseph, from a Jewish boy who became a man in Egypt and helped save the nation, they didn't remember him anymore. All they saw was Israel multiplying and multiplying, and the Pharaoh's like, what are we going to do? Let's oppress them so that they don't take over. And so that's what, very similar in Cuba right now, what's going on is there's a lot of oppression, okay? I actually heard also about, you know, somebody was telling me the other day about what's going on with, in the first century church, where Israel, before Christ came and died, the situation with the Jews in Rome was very similar to what's going on with Christians in Cuba. They're allowed to do services as long as they don't get involved in politics. As long as they pay their dues. Like to get a religious visa to go into Cuba is $150. It's expensive. That's, you know, right now the monthly paycheck average is about $7. You're talking about over a year's salary, all right, maybe 2 years salary for just to get a religious visa to go in there for a couple days. Okay, so there's a lot going on, but what can we do about it? Number one, you can send some money. And how you send money, you have to send it with somebody who's traveling to Cuba, because the government takes a cut from everything that's going in there. So, but American citizens are allowed to hand carry money to bring support to the churches. They allow religious visas right now. So I would recommend you go. If you've never been to another country, this is a great first trip. Obviously, I was fed very well. I didn't miss a meal in Cuba. In fact, we ate meals between meals. Every church we went to, they had prepared something for us. But often we would go to churches where the people who were there hadn't had power for days. They themselves hadn't been eating for days. They were looking forward to us coming, but it took them a week. Pastor Rodolfo told us that it would take a week to gather some of the resources to provide these meals for us, the American missionaries coming in. I'm very excited. I'll just tell you a little bit about this conference. Last night was the first session, and we did worship. And what was so awesome is I get to be reunited with some of my brothers that went on the trip with me from Cuba, and got to see them worshiping the Lord in the same room with me. Felt like good old times, and also seeing them up there at the end of service praying for people reminded me of my Cuban time. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but the Lord is definitely here. The presence of the Lord is moving in this place. This place has been holy ground for 70 years. Okay, John and Charles, more than 70 years, in fact. John and Charles Wesley were here on this grounds, and George Whitefield. These are pioneers of the move of the Holy Spirit in America. Here on this ground, okay, it's holy ground. It's a thin place. You know, this, you know, if Lewis was around, he'd be like, this might be a place you could walk through a tree and find yourself in Narnia, you know what I'm saying? But it was a great message. There's, like I said, there's about a couple hundred pastors. They're here to network and to be refreshed. Their families, you know, a lot of times you're in service to other people and nobody serves you. And I will say that if you do come on a trip to Cuba, you will leave refreshed. You know, you'll be longing for air conditioning, but you will also be refreshed. So I would encourage you to go. So that's about it. So we've got 2 more days of this conference, Thursday, all day today, tomorrow, and then we're gonna wrap up on Saturday. I'm not gonna be able to be here for Saturday, but we're looking forward to another great time. God bless you guys.